Have you ever woken up after retiring and thought, so, what do I do with my day now? If you have, you're certainly not alone. A lot of us look forward to retirement thinking it will be pure freedom, but sometimes all that open time can feel a little empty. You might find yourself missing the old routines, or just wanting a little spark to get you going each morning. It's a common feeling, and there's no need to feel bad about it. But here's some good news. Many folks turn those empty days into some of the best years of their lives. Their secret isn't money or luck. It's about simple, thoughtful habits, little things you can do every day to bring back meaning and joy. I'd love to share 8 easy, uplifting habits you can start, no matter who you are or where you live. As you read, think about what feels right for you. Please share your thoughts below or pass this along to a friend who might need a little encouragement today. Let's get started. First and foremost, let's talk about the magic of a consistent morning routine. Now, some might laugh. Isn't the beauty of retirement being free from alarms and schedules? Sure, there's joy in sleeping in now and then, but here's the reality. Our brains crave a sense of beginning. When the work routine disappears, so do all those little cues that tell our body and mind it's time to get going. Without those cues, days blend together. We lose that sense of momentum. Psychologists call it cognitive anchoring. Creating a mental anchor each morning helps your mind build structure for the whole day. Even something small, like opening the blinds at the same time every morning, making a fresh pot of coffee, or stretching in your favorite chair, can send a message. My life still has a rhythm. Let me share about Walter, a retired engineer from Wisconsin. In the first few months after leaving work, he woke up whenever, sometimes at noon. He'd wander to the kitchen, microwave leftovers, and catch himself watching reruns from his armchair long past lunchtime. The days felt long and dull, but after a heart-to-heart with his daughter, he decided to give mornings another try. He started simple, waking up by 7:30, shaving, getting dressed, even if there was nowhere to go, and walking to the mailbox. That change alone gave structure to his days. It felt silly at first, Walter admits, but after a week, my whole mood lifted. I wasn't just retired, I was living again. Take a look at your mornings. Are they unplanned and aimless? Try picking just 2 or 3 little rituals, a stretch, a pot of tea, maybe jotting a note in a journal. Don't wait for a reason. The routine itself is reason enough. Over time, that scaffolding will hold your days together, just as strong as any work schedule ever did. Now, let's talk about something you might not expect: identity. For decades, your job might have been who you were. Maybe you were Karen the teacher, or Bob the firefighter, or Linda who ran the accounting office that everyone called for advice. But when those titles fade, there's a big question: who am I now? This gap can make mornings feel hollow and evenings drag on. The seniors who thrive don't just let go of the old identity. They craft a new role for themselves, and you can do the same. You don't have to make it official. Maybe you become the neighbor who bakes the best cornbread, or grandpa who always fixes the bikes, or even the local storyteller at the library. The role doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to feel honest to you. Psychology shows that when we give ourselves a new identity, our minds start to build a life around it. You'll start asking, what would a gardener do with this morning? Or what would a friend do for someone in need? And your days will be filled with action, not emptiness. Take, for example, Charlene, 71, who used to run a busy dental office in Ohio. Once retired, she felt invisible, like nothing she did really mattered. But one afternoon, a neighbor asked her advice about growing tomatoes, and before long, Charlene had started a weekly gardening group on her street. Now, everyone calls her the Green Thumb. That was all it took to re-spark her sense of value. She told me, having a new title made all the difference. I might not be a boss anymore, but I'm still important to people around me. So, if you've been feeling like a shadow of who you once were, claim something new. Ask yourself what role you want in this season of life. Mentor, artist, chef, friend, coach. Even if you're the only one calling yourself that at first, own it. The rest will follow. Let's move on to something close to many of our hearts: rediscovering an old passion or hobby. It's easy to forget how many things we used to love back before the world got busy. Music, painting, tinkering in the garage, writing stories, or just sitting down with a good puzzle. After retirement, all that noise falls away, and you finally have time to pick up what you once set aside. Research shows that revisiting old passions doesn't just entertain us. It actually brings back the positive emotions connected to who we used to be. It's like opening a window into your younger self. Take Marvin, for instance. He was a postal worker in Pennsylvania, and in his 20s, he played harmonica every Saturday night at a local bar with his buddies. Work and family took over, and the harmonica ended up tucked in a drawer for 40 years. But after retirement, one chilly evening, he pulled it out. The first notes were rusty, but his hands remembered. In a few weeks, he was playing again for the folks at his community center, and the old Marvin came back to life in a way he'd almost forgotten was possible. He smiled more, engaged in conversations, and even made a few new friends who wanted to learn harmonica themselves. "I thought that part of me was gone for good," Marvin confessed. "But really, it was just waiting for me to come back." If you find yourself wondering what to do with all these new hours, don't pressure yourself to invent a brand new passion. Instead, ask, what did I love before life got busy? Was it painting, fishing, baking pies, or growing flowers? Maybe it was reading poetry or building birdhouses for the backyard. Dust off those memories and try giving them another shot. Even if you feel rusty at first, passion doesn't care about perfection. The point is to let yourself enjoy something that fills you up from the inside. Next, let's talk about the importance of staying physically active with intention. It's easy to slow down after a lifetime of working, especially when there's no boss or clock pushing you out the door. But moving your body, even a little, does wonders not only for your health, but for your mood, energy, and sense of participation in the world. Science backs this up. Physical movement helps balance chemicals like dopamine and serotonin that keep your spirits up and your mind sharp. It even helps regulate sleep, which can go haywire when your days lack structure. You don't have to become a marathon runner or lift heavy weights. The key is choosing movements that fit your body, spark a little joy, and feel sustainable. Whether it's a brisk walk around the block, joining a senior yoga group, raking leaves in the yard, dancing to old records in the living room, or gardening. These aren't just exercises, they are rituals. Rituals restore rhythm. Let me introduce you to Shirley, 82, a widowed grandmother from Texas who lives by herself in a quiet cul-de-sac. After her husband passed, she spent months mostly sitting by the window, watching the seasons change outside. One Sunday, her church announced a walking group, and, with some encouragement, Shirley decided to join. The walks weren't athletic competitions, just a chance for a few neighbors to stroll and share stories. Very quickly, Shirley's energy returned. "I found my voice again," she laughs. "My legs remembered how it feels to be needed." Her outlook on life changed. If you're struggling with low motivation or feeling disconnected, purposefully moving, even 10 minutes of stretching outdoors or slow dancing in the kitchen, can make all the difference. Motion creates momentum, and momentum restores meaning. As we keep going, let's look at something you might not expect: nurturing one-on-one connections. Retirement often means leaving behind the daily chatter of coworkers and the familiar greetings you took for granted. The social world shrinks, and before you know it, days or weeks may fly by without a real conversation. But here's the thing. People who flourish after retirement don't just fill their calendar with group events. They invest in deep, meaningful conversations, the kind where you're truly seen and heard. It doesn't take a crowd. Just one genuine chat can keep loneliness at bay and refill your emotional tank. Research in psychology shows these close connections boost your brain's reward system, help regulate stress, and even protect your memory as you age. I think about Ron, 75, from Florida. He retired from running a busy hardware store and suddenly found his days eerily quiet. Instead of sinking into the silence, Ron made a promise to himself. Every Thursday afternoon, he'd call his old fishing buddy from college, Jim, who lives 3 states away. They talk about their families, reminisce about old adventures, and sometimes just sit quietly on the line, listening to each other breathe. For Ron, that hour is a lifeline. That one call grounds me for the whole week, he says. I know someone cares, and that helps me care for myself, too. So if you're feeling isolated, don't wait for someone else to reach out. Take the first step. Call a sibling, a childhood friend, or even a neighbor you haven't spoken to in a while. One honest conversation can make all the difference. Consistency matters more than quantity. Next comes a habit that brings surprising joy: volunteering or serving in small, everyday ways. When work ends, so do all those daily opportunities to help, guide, or be needed by others. Yet, giving to others, whether it's your time, attention, or simply your presence, provides deep purpose and reminds us we're still valuable. Psychologists call this pro-social behavior, and studies show it improves emotional well-being far more than receiving help ourselves. You don't have to sign up for a big charity or join a committee. Sometimes the smallest gestures mean the most: walking a neighbor's dog, driving someone to a doctor's appointment, picking up groceries for a friend, or just sitting quietly and listening when someone needs to talk. I met Helen, 78, in Oregon, who never saw herself as a volunteer type. After retiring and losing her husband, afternoons felt endless. One day, she noticed a flyer at her local grocery store asking for help at the public library's story hour. On a whim, she showed up. 4 years later, she still reads to little ones every Tuesday. 30 minutes with those kids reminds me I still have something to give, Helen says. Their smiles fill me up more than I ever expected. If you're unsure where to start, look at your circle. Is there someone nearby who could use a check-in, a ride, or a hot meal? You don't need to fix anyone's life. Just showing up is enough. You'll find that when you help someone else gain their footing, you often regain your own. As we continue this journey, let's talk about a danger that slips in quietly: passive consumption. It's tempting to let hours slip away in front of the TV, phone, or news feed, especially when there's more free time than ever before. While an episode of your favorite show now and then is harmless, constantly soaking in passive entertainment can leave you feeling even more drained, disconnected, and restless. The retirees who avoid this slide are the ones who keep their minds active, choosing activities that invite their curiosity and stretch their thinking. You don't have to go back to school or tackle something complicated. Reading a good novel, working on a crossword puzzle, journaling, baking a new recipe, or watching a thought-provoking documentary all count. There's a wonderful principle in neuroscience called neuroplasticity. It means your brain keeps growing and adapting as you age, as long as you keep using it. Challenging yourself even a little each day by learning, creating, or reflecting boosts mental sharpness and satisfaction. I remember hearing about Edna, 86, from Michigan. After retiring, she started jotting down one thing she learned every day in a notebook: a new word, a bird she saw at the feeder, a neighbor's recipe. It's nothing fancy, she grins, but it gives me a sense of progress. She found that, in her own quiet way, she was still growing. And that matters. Next time you reach for the remote out of habit, try something a little different. Swap half an hour of television for a book, a crossword, or jotting down your thoughts about the day. These small choices don't just fill the hours. They fill your mind and heart with purpose and remind you that life still has new chapters to write. Now, let's highlight something that can transform your entire week: creating a weekly rhythm to look forward to. One of the most subtle risks after retirement is time losing its shape. Mondays feel like Saturdays, and all those special days blur together. But people who find meaning in retirement often have one simple ritual or event that anchors their week, a reason to keep track of the days, a spark of joyful anticipation. The beauty of this habit is that it can be anything you want. Maybe it's Friday morning at the farmer's market, Sunday lunch with your oldest friend, or a regular coffee and newspaper ritual at your favorite cafe. Maybe you call your granddaughter in California every Thursday evening, or bake cinnamon rolls every Saturday morning. The point isn't how big the event is, but that it's something steady, personal, and truly yours. There's even a psychological principle behind this called anticipatory reward. Just knowing that something pleasant is coming gives us an emotional lift, organizes our week, and creates positive anticipation. The same feeling that made us excited about pizza night or field trips as kids. I remember hearing about Pete, 77, from Arizona. Every Tuesday, without fail, Pete cooks his famous chili, watches an old Western movie, and calls his daughter to chat about their days. "It's nothing fancy," Pete says, "but it's mine, and it gives my week a heartbeat." That ritual makes time feel special again, turning the ordinary into something meaningful. If you've lost track of time, try picking one small activity to anchor your week. Maybe it's a walk with a neighbor, a video call with your sister, or joining a weekly game at the community center. Mark it on your calendar. Watch how the days gain color and the weeks take shape around that simple joy. Before we sum up, I want to invite you. If any of these habits spark a memory or give you an idea, write it in the comments below. Which of these 8 habits would you like to try, or have you already experienced something similar? Let's learn from each other's stories and encourage those who may need a little nudge to find their own rhythm. If you found anything here helpful, please share this with a friend or family member. You never know whose day you might brighten with a simple gesture. So what have we learned? Retirement isn't the end of the journey. It's a new beginning. But it does come with challenges, the loss of structure, the uncertainty of what comes next, and the sometimes quiet ache of missing the feeling of being needed or important. The danger isn't age or health or luck. It's drifting without direction, letting the days slip by without meaning or joy. The real difference, as we've seen, lies in the small, intentional choices you make. Whether it's building a morning routine, claiming a new identity, dusting off an old passion, moving your body on purpose, investing in meaningful conversations, helping others in your circle, keeping your mind active, or looking forward to a weekly ritual. Each one is a powerful way to reclaim your sense of purpose and connection. You don't have to change everything overnight. Pick just one habit that speaks to you and try it for a few days. Notice how even a tiny change can shift your mood, add color to your days, and remind you that you're still the author of your life story. Ask yourself, which habit will I try this week to bring a little more joy, connection, or energy into my life? There's no right answer, only the one that feels right to you. Maybe you'll reach out to an old friend for coffee. Maybe you'll dust off that guitar in the closet, or maybe you'll sit down tomorrow morning with a fresh cup of coffee and plan a new routine just for yourself. And if you're feeling stuck or discouraged, remember, you're not alone. Most seniors go through this transition, and it's not a sign of failure or weakness. It's simply part of moving from a life filled with outside expectations to one where you get to decide what matters most. Every day you choose to show up for yourself, even in the smallest way, is a victory worth celebrating. I'd love to hear about the small victories in your life, and I know others in our community would, too. What's one thing you're proud of trying, or one habit you hope to build next? Share your story in the comments. It might just inspire someone else to keep going. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Your presence matters, your story matters, and your days are still filled with endless possibilities. If you enjoyed this discussion, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe or sign up to hear about future tips, stories, and encouragement for living your very best life in retirement and beyond. You're never too old to learn, to love, or to wake up looking forward to something beautiful. Here's to turning empty days into days of abundance, isolation into connection, and the blank canvas of retirement into your most vibrant masterpiece yet. Let's keep walking this path together, one small, joyful step at a time.